Elliot here from Elemental Cuisine, and I've got my good friends here, John and Elliot, and we're going to go over some knife skills. And really, the important thing is to be safe with a knife, because I happen to love these little fingers, and I want them around for your whole entire life. And working with knives can be so incredible, because a lot of people say, oh, it takes so much time to cut those vegetables. It takes so much time, I'd rather just open a bag. But once you get the skills down, you can be really super fast with a knife as long as you learn the basic foundation of being really safe. So one of the first things you want to do is to have a cutting board, and you want to make sure this cutting board is really stable, right? You don't want this sliding all over the place. So what we've done is we put a wet rag underneath here so that when you go to cut your fruit, it's not going to move, right?
Right.
Okay. And then the second thing that's really important is that you have a really sharp knife. Why do you think it's important to have a really sharp knife? Yes.
Because you don't want to cut, like if you're cutting a fruit with hard skin, it could slip off easily.
Right.
But if you have a sharp knife, you can just cut right through it without having it slip off.
That's right. Yeah. And a lot of times people say, well, if I have a dull blade, I don't have to worry about getting cut. But actually just the opposite is true. Kitchen is a really good chef knife and a paring knife. The other knives are good, but these two are the ones you're going to use most of the time. Now, a lot of times people think with a knife, this is the handle, so you grab on the handle. Actually, what you want to do is you want to grab, it's called a pinch grip, so you put your thumb and your forefinger, and that's going to do most of the cutting, and then these guys are pretty loose back here, yeah? Sometimes when we cut, we get really tense, maybe not you guys, because you're pretty loose and cool and everything, but sometimes we get really tight, and then our elbow goes way up high like this, so people are cutting like this, and they're putting so much effort into it. You see people just cutting, but really the knife is just to guide it. You know, the knife should do most of the work, and you're just guiding it right through the fruit, and your shoulders should be relaxed. And when do you stop cutting?
When it's finished.
Well, that's good. You stop cutting as soon as you no longer feel safe. So if you're cutting through something and you're cutting through and all of a sudden you don't feel safe here, you just stop. If you don't feel safe, you stop. So another thing you want to do when you're working with knives is to have a cloth real handy and then just wipe it off from time to time. So now, Elliot, we're going to do an apple. And it's really important when you have a round piece of fruit. When you have a round piece of fruit, you want to do what's called a stabilizing cut. Otherwise, the apple can go all around like this, and it's too easy to slip and cut your hand. So using this knife, you want to go down and through. So when you have a hard piece of fruit like this, you go away from yourself. You're cutting down and away, and that way this tip of the knife is always staying on the cutting board. Okay. There you go. So what happens if a knife starts to fall? What would you do?
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way! Exactly. You don't try to catch a knife if it's falling. And another thing, you never want to put it in the sink, because somebody else might go in there and try to, wash some things, and then, yeah. Okay, so let's see, what else? What else? You got your hands washed. Make like a tunnel here with your fingers, and then you put the knife right through, and then get a little bit further apart. Is it real stable there?
Very.
And then just cut all the way down like you mean it. There you go, that's perfect. And we're going to use this for a juice, so we want to keep most of this pith, because that's where a lot of the vitamin C is. So you could either use a peeler, or John's going to use his paring knife to peel away the orange part, but leave as much of that white part on as possible. Perfect. Okay, now I'll show you about the julienne style. And that is, you hold your knife like this, and you simply go down and through, and then bring it right back. This tip stays on the cutting board, down and through, and try to get them as even as possible. Down and through, down and through. And you do this a few times and you get really confident with it, you'll be surprised how fast it starts to go. Another cut I really like is the chiffonade cut, just because I like to say chiffonade. Isn't that fun? Chiffonade, exactly. So we have some mint. We're going to throw all of this in the Vitamix and make a smoothie, but just for the fun of it, I'll show you how to do the chiffonade cut. And that is simply, you roll it up. You can do this with any leafy vegetable. Roll it up real tight. And you know, with a hard fruit like this, you go down and away, but when it's soft like this, then you go back towards yourself. And then you get these nice ribbon-like cuts. So you want a few more pieces of the mint. You can roll, you guys can both do one of these. I'm sorry, here. Another thing with a knife, if you're ever carrying a knife in the kitchen, you want to make sure you carry it down by your side and tell the person, knife, knife behind you, knife behind you. That way nobody is startled by the knife.